Big LEZ'S League, an all rugby league experience.
To be honest, I hate your side.
No. That's all right. That's all right.
But that being said, I think there's a lot of times where I'm so set on the players that I think are good, and I give advice to people that I think this way, and like let's say Dry Gray, for example, how I said I'd go like a Kalen Ponga over that. There's every chance that Dry Gray, the not as sexy option, scores a lot more to start the year. So I think this is the beauty of the preseason debates, is because you never know what's actually going to happen. You can't predict it. If you could, then it'd be the easiest game ever. And I think that there's a method in this that could lead you to success, because you've gone heavy on the center wings and the fullbacks. You've missed out on Latrell Mitchell, so you think more attack's going to go to Dry Gray, so you think there's value there. You don't think there's value in Latrell Mitchell. You're a Rabbitohs fan, so you would go Latrell Mitchell if you genuinely thought he was going to get a lot of touches. So I like the direction you've gone. I definitely do think you need to tweak your top 25 somehow, like just the bench players. But you've taken that on board, and I'm sure your side will be a bit different.
You know what? Like, I think that when I do SuperCoach content, and when I was picking my side the other week, I got so much criticism for my initial side. Well, it's pretty obvious it was average, but the big comment that I got was like, you're basically like everyone else picking their side. Like, it's not like you're an expert in this. And I was like, that's exactly why I did it. Sort of thing. I actually reckon these sort of podcasts are really good, where someone like yourself, who's done SuperCoach content for a while and very, experienced in SuperCoach, gives advice to someone like myself, who's like pretty fresh, doesn't really do a lot of SuperCoach content. I think that's even better content than, I guess, a lot of these guys who are in the game for ages giving their thoughts as well.
Because I kind of like how you've come in and presented your side, because say we go to someone who knows SuperCoach more, then we're just agreeing on what we think's obvious, but like you come in and like your bench with the front row forwards in particular, that's just it might be something you might have not looked at straight away or thought about too much, and maybe people listening actually thought very similar to you, and they actually get the answer of why we've gone the direction we've gone in.
Exactly.
Hello, welcome back to Big LEZ'S League, and all rugby league experience. So you just watched that little flashback there with myself and Sav after we went through my team initially. I had a different sort of thought process to Sav, and look, after having that conversation with him and then a few conversations with him after and just workshopping my team a little bit, I've made a new one. So we were going to do a team reveal last week. Then we ended up doing it with Sav last week on the show. And I thought, you know what? I'm not going to post my team reveal. I'm going to wait another week or so, really fine-tune my team, go with a few different tactics, look at a different bunch of podcasts as well. And, we were actually sort of brainstorming what we were going to call the SuperCoach show this year, what it was going to sort of look like. And we decided to go with Plebs Playbook. So that's going to be the name of our SuperCoach show. It might not be as concurrent, I should say, as what it was in the past. We used to do one every week, sort of going through and previewing every week. It might not be like that. My idea around Plebs Playbook is that we are just like every single one of you guys. We put our side together like every single one of you guys. We watch a bunch of different podcasts and try to get ideas like a bunch of you guys. I'm just purely going off vibe, what I see, players I like. I'm not claiming to be a SuperCoach expert, and I think that that's actually a good thing, because I'm, going on a podcast week to week with an actual SuperCoach himself in Sav. I'm learning it still, just like everyone else, and I want to take you guys on that ride with me. So that's the idea around Plebs Playbook. We're the plebs, like every single one of you guys. When it comes to SuperCoach, we don't claim to be experts. We haven't won SuperCoach. We haven't really got close to winning SuperCoach, but I just want to take you guys on the ride with me. So that's the idea around it. If you want to get around it, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube, become a part of the Big LEZ'S League community. We don't just do SuperCoach. Obviously, as I said, not an expert in it, so I wouldn't want to, I guess, torch you guys with a bunch of SuperCoach content. There's plenty more here. Obviously, we've got a couple of interviews on the podcast over the next couple of weeks. We've got Isaac Issa on recently, so make sure you go and check that one out. Really, really great conversation that definitely deserves a couple more eyes. So get across there and have a look after this video. And then just rugby league content in general, reacting to highlights, reacting to certain experts in the game and giving our thoughts on certain situations, and then just talking about the beautiful game rugby league. So if you want to be a part of that, make sure to subscribe. Plenty of great things coming over the next couple of weeks. Let's get into the SuperCoach side though, because there is plenty to dive into here. So as you can see, it looks very different to what it did last week or a couple of weeks ago when we did our initial team reveal with Sav. And then when we just did our team reveal before that as well, we got plenty of criticism on the podcast then. So a few different tactics. We're going to get stuck into all of that and just give my thoughts and my mindset around certain moves and whatnot. So very keen to take you guys on that ride. We'll start off with the hooker position. That remains the same from last time. We've gone with Reed Marnie. We've gone with Brandon Smith. Smith going to be playing decent-ish minutes for South Sydney. I've heard rumors that he's training with the starters, which is a sort of a good thing. I think that you could definitely see a world where Brandon Smith, he plays the first couple minutes at hooker and then moves into a bit of more of a middle forward role. So if that's the case there for the Rabbitohs, then I really do like that. And I think it's probably the best case scenario for SuperCoach because you're probably going to get around 50, 55, maybe even 60 minutes from Brandon Smith. And you don't really even have to play him in SuperCoach. I'm not. I'm just using him to get a bit of money into my side. So Brandon Smith is there as my backup. Reed Marnie, I still think even with the signing of Sonny Luke, he'll play 80 minutes. I doubt that he'll be playing anything less. I think they brought him to the club to be that 80-minute number 9. So, and he's obviously vocalized that he wants to be an 80-minute number 9 as well. So I think that's probably the way that they go with Reed Marnie, but he's in my side as well in the number 9 role. Now, the front row has changed. We did have Keon in there to start. He was about 666K. So we have, I guess, from a cash point of view, downgraded. But I think you're going to get similar scores from Toby Couchman. I really like what I saw from him last year at the Dragons. Played very, very well. I think that he's going to get a pretty solid role in this Dragon side. He's going to be the future enforcer from them and the future leader through the middle of the field, along with Keon when he obviously gets to the club as well. And obviously post Josh Kerr. He's going to be there for the next couple of years, Josh Kerr. But Toby Couchman is the future. The Couchman brothers themselves are the future, but Toby especially in this, for a more recent perspective, he's the future of this Dragons pack. And at 588K, I think it's a really good buy. I think that he's going to be playing decent minutes like he did last year at stages. And I think he's going to be really integral to the Dragons' success there, especially with their momentum throughout the middle of the field. And then Payne Haas, I'm happy to invest in him early. Obviously, one of the more expensive guys in SuperCoach. We talked about it on the Burst, and we talked about it on the SuperCoach Experience podcast, I should say, a couple of weeks ago as well, just in regards to Payne Haas. He's probably a better purchase than Nathan Cleary, to be fair. Even though I've got both in my side, if you wanted to go one or the other, you probably should go Payne Haas with a better start to seasons and just better scores throughout seasons in general. And then backups, look, I've moved Jesse Calhoun into the middle rotation. We've obviously got a few different guys in and just picking more guys that are going to play first grade. That was the main sort of criticism that I got from Sav at the back end of the podcast. You would have seen it in that little flashback there. The main sort of criticism that I got was you need to include more guys on your bench that are going to play first grade. You need to make money from round 1. I got a bit excited, looked at a bunch of CBAs and just thought I'm going to get them all. But, there's a real chance that none of those guys that I had previously play first grade. So just picking guys that are playing first grade on my benches. I think Cody Hopwood will realistically be one off the bench for the Newcastle Knights to start. I think that in the future, he's going to be their 13. And I also think that Jesse Calhoun, at least to start the year, I think is a good purchase at 332K. He's obviously going to be their starting 13 for the Cronulla Sharks as well. So I'd be very happy to go with Jesse Calhoun. I think he's a really good purchase to start the year. And then you can obviously trade him out to other guys like your Pasekas and whatnot as well if Calhoun does drop to the bench. So Jesse Calhoun and Hopwood are my guys on the bench there in the front row forward and pretty decent prices for both of them. And I think that both of them will be in first grade for their respective teams. So that's what my hookers and front rowers are looking like at the moment. We'll move through to second row forwards. We've got Dave Fafita, Hylam Lukey, and Hamish Stewart starting. Fafita, I think we've sort of spoken about it a couple of times now on the podcast, but he's a must buy at 485k. He is an absolute must buy with that left edge potential at South Sydney. At the price for Dave Fafita, the potential that he has under Wayne Bennett, I think that you've just got to take the risk there early. Then you can obviously upgrade to guys like Preston and move your things around in your side if it doesn't work out. But I'm very happy to start with Dave Fafita. The only thing I'm worried about with Dave Fafita is decoy danger. Does he get run a couple of decoy lines? Not like he didn't at the Gold Coast Titans. I don't think he really did either at the Brisbane Broncos. He was definitely more of the guy you give the ball to just to create damage in and around their edge. But I think that there is a little bit of decoy danger here. I mean, the Broncos and the Gold Coast Titans didn't have Latrell Mitchell, Cody Walker, and Alex Johnston all on the same edge as Dave Fafita. So there is a bit of decoy danger there, but other than that, I'm very happy to take the risk on David Fafita to start the year. Hylam Lukey, I think that he'll be playing 80 minutes for this side, for this new North Queensland Cowboys side, I should say, relatively early in the season. I'm very happy to pay for him at 404k. Capitalizing on guys that have been out with injury. I think there's obviously a risk there with how they come back and if they can come back 100%. But I think that at 404k for an 80-minute back rower, you've got to take a little bit of a pinch there. It's a similar argument for Dave Fafita as well, realistically. So I guess that's the other danger for Dave Fafita too. Does he play 80 minutes there for the South Sydney Rabbitohs? Do they bring a Tallis Duncan off the bench or Ewan Aiken, some of these guys, to take over there a little bit? Does Dave Fafita get through a full 80 minutes? That will be the watch. But as I said, for the price, happy to take the risk. And I think he'll do enough. Even if he plays 60 minutes, I think he's going to be scoring tries and setting some up. So Dave Fafita, happy to take the risk on there. Hylam Lukey, I know, is going to play 80 minutes. I doubt that there's really anyone that's going to be forcing their way into his spot. I think that he has got origin potential. So Hylam Lukey, definitely a guy I'm happy to pay the 404k for. Hamish Stewart as well. I think that he'll be playing big minutes through the middle of the field there at 13 for the Dragons. I really like him. I think that he's got so much potential in this side. I doubt that he'll be playing off the bench. I just feel like he's a good starter and he can play around 60 minutes. I think he played around 50 minutes per game for the Dragons last year, or at least at the back end of the season. So, Hamish Stewart, 400k. I'm taking that every day of the week. And that allows me to free up some cash for some other guys as well. Now, Brendan Piakura, he's going to be out for realistically the first couple of weeks for the Brisbane Broncos. It does allow for Jack Gajewski sitting at 357k to sit on that left edge to start the year. He did also start on the left edge last year. Obviously, when Madge Maguire took a risk on a couple of guys. Cameoed Chibusaki's obviously the most remembered one because he ended up playing Origin and whatnot as well, playing for Australia. But Gajewski also started the year at left back row over Piakura anyway. So at 357k, I'm going to take a little bit of a swipe at that to start the year. I think that especially with Piakura missing time, and obviously it'll depend on team lists and whatnot, we'll definitely look into a little bit of that. Gajewski is obviously the guy that I'm looking at the moment, but I also think as well, Allblix Tower, he's obviously only front row forward at the moment, but I'd be happy to take a swipe at Allblix Tower as well if he does get dual position during the preseason trials. I think that there's an opportunity for him to play a little bit of edge and earn a spot in that team, especially with how Madge Maguire loves to give the opportunities to guys working the hardest during the preseason. I think the Allblix Tower is every chance of taking that left edge back row spot. And if he is, I'll probably swap over to him, especially if he gets that dual position there in edge back row. He's only front row forward at the moment, as we said. But if he gets that dual position, I'll be taking a swipe at him for sure. Because I think he is a little bit cheaper than Gajewski. Cooper Bye, I think he'll be in the Titans 17 for sure. I don't think they realistically have a lot of choice. They lost Regan Campbell-Gillard as well, so that opens up a spot in their forward pack. I also think with how well Cooper Bye has played in the lower grades, plus for PNG, and also for the under-19s Origin score to try in that game. Cooper Bye for me, he's at 235k. He's a similar sort of argument to your Atkinsons and your Ethan Sanders, even though they're halves. they're going to be playing in first grade and they're 235K, take the swipe. I also think as well with Cooper Bye, he'll also be playing in the starting side, I think, by end of year too. I think that he'll be definitely in the side come round 1 on the bench, and you'll be making money from him to start the year. But I think by end of year, he'll be a starter as well. So I think he's a guy I'm happy to take that minor investment on early and watch that cash go up with him as well in this side as the year progresses and he gets more and more minutes in that Titans team. And then Jack Hetherington, obviously with Eli Katoa out for the year. Little whispers that Jack Hetherington is going to be that right edge back rower. If not, he's going to be on the bench and he's going to be a part of their rotation. And under Craig Bellamy, I think that you can definitely see Jack Hetherington have a massive, massive year. He's at 235K and he's dual position as well as Jesse Colquhoun. So there's a bit of movement that I can have there, especially if Gajewski doesn't end up playing in that side or is off the bench. And same with Cooper Bye. And I need to move things around with the buys and whatnot. I can just swap Colquhoun back in to the edge back row, throw him into the starting side of my edge back rowers as well. And it can work pretty nicely there as a little bit of a loophole. So Jack Hetherington's a hard guy I'm happy to bring in. I think that he'll be a part of their 17 regardless. And I think that Craig Bellamy could really get the best out of him. And I mean, if he's going to be that right edge back rower, even better for us super coaches as well, because you'll get so much more value out of him at 235K. Moving through to halfback, I've had Moses pretty much the whole time. I think I've had Moses at least for the past 6 to 8 weeks since, well, it hasn't even been that long, has it? At least since SuperCoach Plus opened a couple of weeks ago. I've had Moses in there, but I've recently switched to Cleary just off the back of the chat we had on the SuperCoach Experience podcast regarding Hines and regarding Cleary. A lot of guys are going to be fighting hard to trade these guys in a little bit later in the season once they do start to kick off. You may as well just get them in right now. And the good thing about the fact that they are so expensive, sure, it's obviously going to take up a massive part of your cap. But I also think that, you know, if it doesn't work out and it shits the bed, you can upgrade, you can not even upgrade, downgrade to a Moses if he's kicking on as well and have like 300K in your cap to get in another superstar into your side. And same with Hines as well. You can move him into the starting halfback role if Cleary isn't kicking on and bring in a pretty decent player for your flex as well. So I really do like having both of them in there. It does take up a big chunk of your cap, and I did have to lose Munster to get Cleary and Hines in, but I am a little bit happier to take that risk as well. Cleary, I think that just looking at the discussion we had on the SuperCoach Experience podcast regarding him and his scores to start years as well, and particularly his scores against the Brisbane Broncos, who I believe they play in the early rounds. Him at 826K, I'm just going to take the risk on him early and just bring him into the side, and we'll see how we go from there, I guess. I am pretty excited to see, I'm pretty keen to see how he goes. I really am. I think that he can have a pretty decent start to the year. And if he can, get some decent scores against the Broncos and even gain some cash, more the merrier as well. He's a good captain option too. I've got Teddy as my captain at the moment, but I do like Cleary. And as I said, you know, if Cleary doesn't work out in those early rounds, he can sort of ease into it by around round 4 or 5 if he does have a little bit of a rough start. So I'm tipping that Cleary has a good start to the year. It's a big risk to take. I know a lot of people would rather go Moses. I did have Moses and Munster for a while there, but I am going to take the risk on Cleary to start the year. I think that it is quite advantageous. And then Atkinson, we sort of touched on it before when we were talking about some of the other guys in this team as well. But I think that at 235K, you've just got to go for Daniel Atkinson. I think that he's so good. I think you can definitely get some good footy out of him as well. I think it's going to really be dependent on how they play their footy. I think if we get a hint in the trials that Kyle Flanagan's going to play more like a 7, I'll probably move to someone else. I'll be real. But at the moment, I'm very happy to start with Daniel Atkinson and very keen to see if we can get some good football out of him as well. Yeah, as I said, 235K for a starting half that's playing 80 minutes. I think you've definitely got to take the punt there. Cody Walker's in my side at my 5'8". I think that Cody Walker's a really good purchase if you're not going to go the way of Cam Munster. Munster's the safest buy. We had Munster for a while there, but I think at 399K, especially if you've got Cleary and Hines in your team, Cody Walker's a really good grab. It's a really good price. Again, you're capitalizing on guys that have been injured. So Cody Walker there at 399K, I think is a really good purchase and a lethal left edge. He'll be setting up quite a few tries and he'll be getting some points, and you'll definitely be making some money on Cody Walker. And then Jonah Pezzett, he is my backup number 6 there, 235K. Same argument to Atkinson times 2. I think that Pezzett's going to have a really good year. I think that the Parramatta Reels are going to be a really good team going into 2026. So if they are a top 4 side like I think Parramatta can be, Pezzett's going to be a big part of that. And, you know, we're talking about Moses. We're talking about the danger of injuries, especially with that foot there. He was out for quite some time last year, Mitch Moses. Pezzett goes straight into the 7, and he'll be just getting even more points and more opportunities and more hands on the footy there. So 235K, definitely worth paying for Pezzett, and you're guaranteed to make money on him to start the year. Now, moving into the wing centers, I was spending a lot more cash here, but again, you know, having to make a few sacrifices with a couple of guys in this roster and bringing in Cleary and bringing in Hines. I had to sort of sacrifice a couple of guys in the back line, and you'll look at Jalen de Groot and you go, what are you even thinking there? I'll explain myself in a second. So Herbie Farnworth, I've got him in there. He is at 825K. Is that 825 or 835? 825. 0.6 to be exact. He is a set forget pick for me in the back line. If you are looking to spend heavy in your outside backs, like a lot of people will because of the lack of cheapies there. At the moment, I think at 825K, he is a set and forget one. He's one of the first picked in my team as well. With how well he went last year, I know that it's a lot to pay for a centre that doesn't goal kick. But I just think he's so worth it. He's going to be making money for your side, even if it's little increments compared when you look at his price at the moment and his break even to start the year. I think that you've just got to bite the bullet there and know that you're going to get some good scores. You've got a little cheeky captain option there as well, or VC option in Herbie Farnworth as well. So I'm going to take the punt on him at 825K. Val Holmes, I've got him there as well at 734K. He's probably a guy that I could potentially go and change for a Kiraz, but I'm going to start there with Val Holmes. I think that he's going to be having some really good opportunities there on that left edge. Kyle Flanagan was really good down that left-hand side as well for the Dragons last year. I think you'll get a bit of a roaming license from Daniel Atkinson as well. So I think that left-hand side will be getting plenty of pill. And I think that Holmes will be laying on a couple of tries, scoring a couple of tries. I think he's in for a huge season for the Dragons in a much improved roster heading into 2026. Bailey Simonson, I think just you're putting him in there, taking Lomax's spot. He's got a very similar upside to Lomax other than the kicking. And at 454K, that is an absolute bargain. So Bailey Simonson, for me, would almost be a must-have to start the year, especially if Parramatta start hot. He'll be scoring plenty of tries next to Moses. He's taking Lomax's spot there. It is almost a little bit of a set and forget must-have Bailey Simonson. And I know a lot of people will agree, and I'll probably get flamed in the comments for the Bailey Simonson pick, but I'm happy to take that risk early, and it's a really good price for someone that is pretty much taking Lomax's spot, and he'll be taking his tries as well. So 454K for Bailey Simonson. I am going to take that. Jalen de Groot, they don't have a lot of choice in their back line, the Gold Coast Titans. I think that Jalen de Groot will be there. I think he'll take Alafiana Khan Pereira's spot on the left wing. So I do think that they'll go down the left-hand side quite a bit. And I think that he'll probably be lucky to grab a couple of tries there as well, Jalen de Groot. I do like what I've seen from him. I think that he's pretty much their only option. I'd be shocked if they go away from him to start the year. I think they'll get him as much first grade as they can. I honestly think there's a chance he either plays wing or center. I think they were trying to make him a center throughout the year last year at the Gold Coast Titans. But I do think that, you know, as a temporary option, he's only 315K. He's going to be playing first grade. I think that, especially while I'm just trying to get a bit more cash into my side, and I've taken risks on more expensive players. He's going to be the first traded out, I'll be very honest. But just as a temporary buy, I'm just going to go ahead and take that risk. If he doesn't play first grade and David Farley's in there, I'll just throw him in. Or if Stone Street, I can just throw Stone Street in and then put the purple jersey on a Calhoun or someone else. So I'm just going to go ahead and bite the bullet there with Jalen de Groot. I'm going to take the risk there with him and hope that he starts. And obviously with the trials and whatnot, we'll get an idea if there's any other smokies that we can sort of throw in for round one. We've got Hamasi Makasini in there as well. I have a real feeling that he's going to take Jarrell Skelton's spot. So if that's the case, we can just throw Hamasi Makasini in there as well. So Jalen de Groot is definitely a very temporary buy. And we'll be looking to trade him out first, that's for sure. Stone Street, I've got him there, 496K. He's going to be the starting left winger, taking Ronaldo Mulatalo's spot to start the year with Mulatalo suffering an ACL injury in the internationals. 496K, it is expensive for a guy that hasn't played too much first grade, but that's obviously knowing that he is going to be playing first grade to start the year. And I do think that you're going to get some good scores from him. He's definitely a first grader. He's definitely going to be scoring tries. So I'm definitely going to go the way of Jalen de Groot there for sure. Of Stone Street, Jalen de Groot. Of Sam Stone Street. We did do a podcast very early this morning, so you can tell I need another coffee ASAP. David Farley, Hamasi Makasini, we've touched on them already. Cheap buys, 235K each. I'm definitely going to go that way. Fullbacks will fly through this. Tedesco, I think for me at least, I know it's for a lot of others, they're going to go with Drinkwater. They're going to go with, Tom Travojevic, I think is the most popular option at the moment. Tedesco for me, captain, set and forget from last year. I tend to have some luck with Tedesco when I pick him. Now, have I just jinxed myself? Maybe. I think the Roosters have a good start to the year. I think they really do. I think that they are a top 4 threat. I think that Tedesco is going to be a big part of that. The watch for me is if DCE and Sam Walker take majority of the ball. But then again, Tedesco with his support play is just going to be, finding his way to the try line anyway. So, while he is 869K, it is expensive. I am going to take the risk on James Tedesco. I'm going to go that way to start the year. Keanu Kinney for me, I think is probably one of the more popular buys in Supercoach. It's definitely a guy I see in a lot of other sides. 495K. I'm going to take Keanu Kinney every day of the week. I think that they're going to be in a very attacking outfit there at the Gold Coast Titans. I think that he's going to be a big part of that. And just his work rate, running around 250 meters a game for such a smaller body, I think that Keanu Kinney is definitely a really nice buy. And then Flex, probably the most controversial pick in this side. And I think after the conversation I had with Brandon Savage and Tim Moody there on that Supercoach podcast when we analysed the halfbacks, I think that Hines is a really good option for Flex. I really do. I think that he's going to start the year hot. I think the Sharks are going to be a really on-fire side going into 2026. I think that at 749K, it's a risk to take at Flex, but I don't really think that a lot of people are really set on who they're going to have for Flex. I think that, while it is safe to go for 3 fullbacks and a lot of people are more comfortable going 3 fullbacks just with how their sides are set out, and, there's a few decent cheapies there for fullback in your Jai Greys, your Suafar Longos, Keanu Kinneys, like we've got in our side, that you can sort of chuck there in the flex and sort of set it forget. Even guys like Isaiah Yongi, who I had there for a little while. I do like Nico Hines there purely because of the fact that I think that him and Cleary are going to start hot, and I think that by round 4 they'll really start getting some good scores in. So I almost think that you're going to get a lot more out of having Hines at flex than you are out of a fullback. And if it all goes to shit, you can trade for a really good player in flex and just go as business as usual. So Hines and Cleary for me to start the year as halfback and flex. It's the way that I'm going. It's a big risk, but after having the conversation on the Supercoach Experience podcast, I'm certainly willing to take that risk. Let me know what your thoughts are. Am I going batshit insane throwing a halfback at flex? Is it the right call? Is it the wrong call? Let me know. What do you think on my side? Is it improved from the last year? Is it not? Let me know in the comments below. If you're listening on Spotify, let me know in the Spotify comments. Am I fucking going insane? Let me know. Don't worry about projected scores, guys. If you're a Supercoach Plus member like myself, that means bash shit in round 1. Do not worry about that shit at all. Make sure, if you haven't already, to subscribe to the YouTube, become a part of the big LEZ'S League community. Plenty more content coming. I hope you enjoyed the first episode of Plebs Playbook as well. And if you like the idea around it, I guess just a super coach, just like any one of you guys, getting in, getting dirty, exposing myself a little bit with mistakes that I can make throughout the year. Not as a concurrent show as some of the other shows, like your beers and break evens and whatnot, but it's just going to, I guess, vlog the experiences of a regular pleb super coacher like everyone else, going through the same problems and having the same questions as everyone else. But also trying my best to answer those questions and learning off guys like Brandon Savage, who I do a podcast with week to week, and bringing those insights into this show as well. So subscribe to not miss out on any of that. As I said, Isaac's interview is live now. I'll put it somewhere down here for you guys to watch onto as well. Subscribe to the YouTube, and we will see you guys in the next one.